The unexpected encounter. Liam had always been a curious child. At 12 years old, his thirst for exploration often led him into trouble aboard the bustling intergalactic space station he called home. His parents, both respected scientists, were often too busy with their research to keep a close eye on their adventurous son. One day, while wandering the labyrinthine halls of the station, Liam stumbled upon a restricted area. The door, usually sealed tight, had been left slightly ajar. Unable to resist the allure of the unknown, Liam slipped inside. The room was dimly lit, with a large observation window overlooking the vast expanse of space. Liam pressed his face against the glass, marveling at the infinite stars and swirling nebulae. He was so entranced by the view that he didn't hear the door slide open behind him. "What are you doing here?" a sharp voice demanded. Liam spun around, his heart pounding. Standing before him was a girl, not much older than himself, with piercing violet eyes and long silver hair that seemed to shimmer in the starlight. She wore a sleek black uniform, adorned with a symbol Liam had seen only in hushed news reports, the crest of the Galactic Emperor. I'm sorry," Liam stammered, backing away from the window. "I didn't mean to trespass. The door was open, and I just wanted to see the stars." The girl studied him intently, her gaze softening slightly. "You're not supposed to be here," she said, but there was no anger in her voice. "This is a restricted area." Liam nodded, his curiosity overcoming his fear. "I know, but why is it restricted? What's so special about this room?" The girl hesitated, glancing around as if to ensure they were alone. "This is my father's private observation deck," she said quietly. "He comes here to plan his conquests and oversee his empire." Liam's eyes widened. "Your father, you mean?" "Yes," the girl confirmed, a hint of pride in her voice. "I am Zara, daughter of the Galactic Emperor." Liam knew he should be terrified. The Galactic Emperor was known throughout the galaxy as a ruthless tyrant, his armies conquering planets and crushing any resistance. But as he looked at Zara, he saw something in her eyes that he recognized, a longing for connection, for understanding. "I'm Liam," he said, offering a tentative smile. "It's nice to meet you, Zara." Zara blinked, surprised by his friendly gesture. "You're not afraid of me?" she asked, her voice tinged with disbelief. Liam shook his head. "Should I be? You don't seem scary to me. A little intimidating, maybe, but not scary." A small smile tugged at the corners of Zora's mouth. "You're a strange one, Liam. Most people cower in fear at the mere mention of my father's name." "Well, I'm not most people," Liam replied, his smile widening. "And besides, you're not your father. You're just Zara." Zara stared at him, a mix of wonder and confusion in her eyes. For a moment, Liam thought she might order him to leave, or worse, call for the guards. But instead, she took a step closer, her gaze locked on his. "You're right," she said softly. "I am just Zara. And you, Liam, are either very brave or very foolish." Liam grinned. Maybe a little of both. They stood there for a moment, two unlikely companions bathed in starlight, the weight of their respective worlds temporarily forgotten. It was the beginning of an extraordinary friendship, one that would change the course of both their lives and the fate of the galaxy itself. As they talked, sharing stories of their vastly different lives, Liam found himself drawn to Zora's quick wit and sharp intellect. She spoke of the pressures of being the Emperor's daughter, of the constant expectation to be perfect, to be ruthless. In turn, Liam shared his dreams of exploration, of discovering new worlds and learning about the universe. Time seemed to stand still in that observation deck, the stars their only witnesses. But eventually, the spell was broken by the sound of approaching footsteps. Zara tensed, her eyes darting to the door. "You need to go," she whispered urgently. "If they find you here, they'll—" She didn't need to finish the sentence. Liam understood the danger he was in. With a quick nod, he turned to leave, but Zara caught his arm. "Wait," she said, her voice barely audible. "Meet me here again tomorrow night. I want to show you something." Liam's heart raced at the prospect of seeing her again. "I'll be here," he promised. With that, he slipped out of the room, the door sliding shut behind him. As he made his way back to his family's quarters, Liam couldn't shake the feeling that his life had just changed forever. He had no way of knowing the true depth of that change, or the trials that lay ahead. All he knew was that he had found a kindred spirit in the most unlikely of places, and he was determined to hold onto that connection, no matter the cost. Forbidden friendship. The next night, Liam snuck out of his family's quarters, his heart pounding with anticipation and nerves. He navigated the quiet halls of the space station, careful to avoid the patrolling guards. When he reached the restricted area, he found the door unlocked, just as Zara had promised. Inside, Zara was waiting for him, her silver hair glowing softly in the starlight. She smiled when she saw him, a genuine smile that made her violet eyes sparkle. "You came," she said, her voice tinged with relief. Liam grinned. "Of course I did. I couldn't stop thinking about our conversation last night." Zara's smile widened. "Neither could I. Come on. I want to show you something." She led him to the observation window, where a small control panel was embedded in the wall. With a few deft keystrokes, the window transformed into a holographic display, showing a breathtaking view of a distant galaxy. "This is the Andromeda Galaxy," Zara explained, her fingers dancing over the controls. "My father's empire has conquered most of the Milky Way, but Andromeda remains unconquered, a symbol of hope for those who resist his rule." Liam stared at the swirling mass of stars and nebulae, his eyes wide with wonder. "It's beautiful," he breathed. Zara nodded, her gaze distant. "It is. And it's a reminder that there's still so much of the universe left to explore, to discover." They spent hours talking, sharing their dreams and fears, their hopes for the future. Liam told Zara of his desire to become a pilot, to fly among the stars, and visit new worlds. Zara confided in him her secret love of art, how she would sketch the constellations and nebulae she saw from the observation deck. As the nights passed, their friendship grew stronger, deeper. They met in secret, always careful to avoid detection. Liam knew the risks, knew that if they were caught, the consequences would be severe. But he couldn't stay away, drawn to Zara's brilliance, her passion, her hidden depths. One night, as they sat side by side, watching a meteor shower through the observation window, Zara turned to him, her expression serious. "Liam," she said softly, "you know this can't last forever, right? My father, if he ever found out about us." Liam swallowed hard, nodding. "I know. But Zara, I care about you. You're my best friend." Zara's eyes shimmered with unshed tears. "And you're mine. But we come from different worlds, Liam. You're a scientist's son, and I'm the daughter of a tyrant. How can we?" Liam took her hand, his heart racing at the contact. "We'll find a way," he said, his voice fierce with determination. "I won't let anything happen to you, Zara. I promise." Zara smiled, a sad, hopeful smile. "I wish I could believe that, Liam. But my father's power is absolute, if he ever discovered our friendship." She trailed off, the unspoken implications hanging heavy in the air. Liam knew she was right, knew that the Emperor's wrath would be terrible if he learned of their bond. But in that moment, with Zara's hand in his, the stars shining down on them, he felt invincible. "We'll be careful," he said, squeezing her hand. "We'll keep it a secret. No one has to know." Zara leaned her head on his shoulder, her silver hair tickling his cheek. "A secret," she whispered. "Our secret." They sat like that for a long time, two young hearts beating as one, the weight of their forbidden friendship both a burden and a blessing. Liam knew, deep down, that their bond was dangerous, that it could never truly be. But he also knew that he would fight for it, for Zara, with every fiber of his being. For in the vast, cold expanse of space, they had found something rare and precious, a connection that transcended the boundaries of their worlds, a love that burned brighter than the stars themselves. And though the path ahead was uncertain, filled with untold dangers and challenges, Liam knew one thing for certain. He would never let go of Zara's hand, no matter the cost. The Emperor's wrath. Their secret meetings continued for weeks, each stolen moment a precious gift. Liam and Zara grew closer, their bond strengthening with every shared story, every whispered dream. But even as their hearts entwined, the shadow of the Emperor's power grew longer, darker. It was a night like any other when everything changed. Liam was making his way to the observation deck, his heart light with anticipation, when he heard the sound of marching feet. He froze, pressing himself against the wall as a squad of Imperial guards rounded the corner. At their head was a tall, imposing figure, his face hidden behind a dark helmet. But Liam knew, with a sinking feeling of dread, who it was: the Galactic Emperor himself. The guards surrounded Liam, their weapons trained on him. He raised his hand slowly, his heart pounding in his chest. "Well, well," the Emperor said, his voice a cold, metallic rasp. "What have we here?" A young trespasser, caught red-handed. Liam swallowed hard, his mouth dry with fear. I'm sorry. I didn't mean." The Emperor laughed, a harsh, grating sound. "Spare me your lies, boy. I know why you're here. You've been meeting with my daughter, haven't you?" Liam's blood ran cold. How had he known? Had Zara betrayed him? No, he couldn't believe that. She would never. "Take him," the Emperor ordered, and the guard seized Liam roughly, dragging him away. He struggled, but it was useless. They were too strong. As they marched him through the halls, Liam's mind raced. What would they do to him? To Zara? The thought of her suffering because of him was unbearable. They brought him to a dark, cold cell, throwing him inside with a brutal shove. The door slammed shut behind him, leaving him alone in the darkness. Hours passed, or maybe days. Liam couldn't tell. He huddled in the corner, shivering, his thoughts a tangled mess of fear and despair. What if he never saw Zara again? What if the Emperor had her imprisoned too, or worse? Just as he was about to give in to despair, the cell door opened. Liam blinked against the sudden light, his eyes struggling to adjust. And then he saw her. Zara. She stood in the doorway, her face pale and drawn, her eyes red-rimmed from crying. But when she saw him, a smile broke through the clouds of her sorrow, like a ray of starlight piercing the void. "Liam," she whispered, rushing to him, throwing her arms around him. "I'm so sorry. I never meant for this to happen. He held her tight, breathing in the scent of her hair, the warmth of her skin. "It's not your fault," he said fiercely. "I don't blame you, Zara. I could never blame you." She pulled back, her eyes searching his face. "My father, he's so angry, Liam. He says you corrupted me, that you're a traitor to the Empire. He wants to." Her voice broke, and Liam's heart shattered. "Zara, listen to me. Whatever happens, whatever he does, I love you. I always will." The words hung in the air between them, a confession and a promise all in one. Zara's eyes widened, her lips parting in a soft gasp. "Liam," she breathed, and then she was kissing him, her lips soft and warm against his, her hands tangling in his hair. He kissed her back with all the love, all the passion he had kept locked inside, pouring his heart into hers. When they finally parted, breathless and flushed, Zara rested her forehead against his. "I love you too," she whispered. "And I won't let him hurt you, Liam. I won't let anyone hurt you. We'll find a way out of this, together." Liam nodded, his heart swelling with hope and determination. "Together," he echoed. But even as they clung to each other, to their love, they both knew the truth. The Emperor's wrath was a terrible thing, and it would not be denied. They were caught in a storm of his making, and there was no telling where it would take them, or if they would survive the journey. All they had was each other, and the fragile, precious bond that had grown between them. A bond that would be tested, stretched to its limits, but never, ever broken. For in the face of tyranny, in the face of impossible odds, their love was a rebellion all its own. And it would burn bright, brighter than any star, no matter how dark the night became. A daring escape. In the darkness of his cell, Liam clung to Zara's promise like a lifeline. She would find a way to save him, to save them both. He had to believe that, or the despair would swallow him whole. It was during the deep, quiet hours of the night cycle when she came for him. The cell door slid open with a soft hiss, and there she was, her silver hair gleaming in the dim light, her eyes bright with determination. "Liam," she whispered, "we have to go now." He scrambled to his feet, his heart pounding. "How did you?" She shook her head, taking his hand. "No time to explain. I've disabled the security systems, but it won't last long. We have to hurry." Together, they raced through the empty corridors, their footsteps echoing in the eerie silence. Liam's mind was a whirl of questions and fears, but he pushed them aside, focusing only on the feel of Zara's hand in his, the sound of her breathing beside him. They reached the hangar bay, and Zara led him to a small, sleek spacecraft. "Get in," she urged, her voice tight with tension. Liam obeyed, climbing into the co-pilot's seat as Zara slid into the pilot's chair. Her fingers flew over the controls, the engines humming to life. Just as they lifted off, a blaring alarm split the air. "They know," Zara said grimly. "Hold on." The spacecraft shot forward, dodging the energy blasts that suddenly filled the hangar. Liam gripped the armrests, his heart in his throat as Zara wove through the barrage, her piloting skills put to the ultimate test. They burst out of the hangar, the vast expanse of space opening up before them. But their relief was short-lived. A squadron of Imperial fighters appeared on their tail, laser fire streaking past their view screen. "Zara!" Liam cried out, fear and adrenaline coursing through his veins. "I see them," she said, her jaw set with grim determination. "Strap in, Liam. This is going to get rough." What followed was a heart-stopping chase through the stars. Zara's piloting skills matched against the might of the Imperial fleet. She dodged and weaved, her movements precise and lightning-fast, evading their pursuers with a skill that left Liam breathless. But even Zara couldn't outfly the Empire forever. A lucky shot grazed their hull, sending them spiraling towards a nearby planet. Zara fought with the controls, her face bathed in the red glow of warning lights. "We're going down," she said through gritted teeth. "Brace yourself." They hit the planet's atmosphere hard, the spacecraft shuddering and groaning around them. Liam squeezed his eyes shut, bracing for impact. The crash was violent, jarring, but somehow, miraculously, they survived. The spacecraft lay in a crumpled heap, smoke rising from its twisted frame. Liam and Zara stumbled out, battered and bruised but alive. They had escaped. But as they stood on that alien world, the wreckage of their ship behind them, the immensity of what lay ahead hit Liam like a punch to the gut. They were fugitives now, hunted by the most powerful force in the galaxy. They had no allies, no resources, no plan. Just each other, and the love that had brought them this far. Zara took his hand, her grip strong and sure. "We'll make it," she said softly. "Together, we'll find a way." Liam nodded, drawing strength from her certainty, her courage. "Together," he echoed. They set off into the unknown. Two young lovers against an empire, their hearts full of hope and fear, and a love that would be their guiding star, no matter how lost they became. For they had already achieved the impossible, had already defied the odds. And though the road ahead was dark and treacherous, they would walk it side by side, hand in hand. Two rebels, two dreamers, two halves of a whole, united by a bond that not even the Emperor himself could break. Love and sacrifice. They ran, hand in hand, across the alien landscape, the wreckage of their escape attempt smoldering behind them. Liam's lungs burned with each ragged breath, his muscles screaming in protest, but he pushed on, driven by the fear and determination that coursed through his veins. Beside him, Zara ran with equal fervor, her silver hair streaming behind her, her violet eyes fixed on the horizon. They had no destination, no plan, only the desperate need to put as much distance between themselves and the Emperor's wrath as possible. But even as they fled, Liam knew it was only a matter of time. The Empire's reach was vast, its resources endless. They could run, but they could not hide. Not forever. It was Zora who saw them first. Imperial drones, sleek and deadly, swooping down from the sky like birds of prey. They had been found. Liam. Zora cried out, her voice raw with fear and desperation. They're coming. He turned, his heart sinking as he saw the drones closing in, their lasers glinting in the alien sunlight. They had nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. This was the end. But even as the realization settled over him like a shroud, Liam felt a strange sense of calm. He turned to Zara, his hand finding hers, their fingers interlacing. "Zara," he said softly, his voice steady despite the terror that gripped his heart. "I love you. No matter what happens, I will always love you." Tears spilled down Zora's cheeks, but her eyes shone with a fierce, unwavering love. "I love you too, Liam, more than anything." They faced the approaching drones, hand in hand, their love a shield against the darkness. And as the lasers rained down upon them, as the world exploded into fire and pain, Liam held onto that love, onto Zara, with every fiber of his being. But the end did not come. Instead, a miracle. Zara, her face set with grim determination, stepped forward, her hand outstretched. And to Liam's amazement, the lasers stopped, frozen in midair, held back by an invisible force. "Zara," he whispered, his voice trembling with awe and disbelief. She turned to him, her eyes glowing with a power he had never seen before. "I won't let them hurt you, Liam. I won't let anyone hurt you ever again." And with a cry of defiance, a cry that shook the very heavens, Zara unleashed her power. The drones crumpled, crushed by an unseen hand, their metal frames twisting and warping like paper in the wind. But the effort was too much. Zara collapsed, her strength spent, her life force draining away. Liam caught her, cradling her in his arms, his heart breaking with every labored breath she took. "Zara, no, please," he sobbed, his tears falling like rain upon her pale, beautiful face. She smiled up at him, a smile filled with love and sorrow, and a peace beyond understanding. "It's okay, Liam. It's okay. I did it for you. For us. For what we had, and what we could have been." Her eyes fluttered closed, her breath stilling in her chest, and Liam held her, held the girl who had shown him the stars, who had loved him in a way he had never been loved before. He held her as the Imperial ships descended from the sky, as the soldiers surrounded them, their weapons trained on the boy who had dared to love the Emperor's daughter. But Liam didn't care. Nothing mattered anymore, nothing but the girl in his arms, the love that had burned brighter than any star, brighter than any empire. And as they took him away, as they dragged him before the Emperor to face his judgment, Liam held onto that love, onto the memory of Zora's smile, her laugh, her fierce, indomitable spirit. For in the end, it was not the Emperor who had won. It was not the Empire that had triumphed. It was love. A love that had defied the odds, that had crossed the bounds of space and time, and fate itself. A love that had given two lost souls a reason to fight, to hope, to dream. A love that would live on, long after the stars had burned out, and the galaxies had faded to dust. For in the heart of a young boy, in the memory of a beautiful, brave girl, that love would endure. Forever.